coronavirus and your financial stability?
I mean, when the markets are, as you were saying before, there's a sea of red that the people are buying and selling quickly, and not even talking about the different type of computer programs that are also doing that. That it's the way that our current economic system is set up in the stock market. Not only do we have to fight against the people, like people having fears about what's happening in the market, we also have to worry about the computer programs and algorithms in place that pay attention to all the other groups. Meaning that there's computer programs that are paying attention to how the market's moving and it's buying and selling because of it. Yeah. So I believe they were saying that a report came out with JP Morgan that almost 80% of the actual stock trades that happen on a daily basis are done by computers. So it's not done with a human that's capable of a computer program that uses pure logic. And if things happen, things can crash and recover and crash all over again within a day. Yeah. So if you add all these variables together, now is not really the time to be acting irrationally, but you should just simply take all the information that you have and make the best choices. So if you have for example, if you have a stock that you love and that the price is dropping, then it wouldn't make sense for you to sell it. Like, why would you sell it? If you believe in this stock, say it's Coca-Cola, for example, using a really high-end stock, and you see the prices dropping, why would you sell it just because things are doing badly right now, right? Well, on the other hand, if you have a company that you know for a fact that you bought it because you were hoping for it and it's going on an upswing and you can get a really good price for it, it makes sense to sell it so you can buy it again later at a lower rate, right? So it's just, now is the time to be rational, in my opinion. And the best way of being rational is having the means to move if necessary. The only way you can have those means is by having actual cash on hand to buy things if necessary.
Yeah, yeah. So, in my opinion, I always had this opinion. You should have cash. You should have something like gold. That's a 5,000-year-old monetary commodity, I guess you would say. And then you should have commodities as far as toilet paper especially. So paper money, toilet paper. I said before, females, maxi pads and stuff like that, whatever it is. Stuff that if toothpaste. What if you don't have water to wash your plates? So paper plates, paper cups. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So, I don't know. As far as the stock market is concerned, do you think this could be what everyone has been waiting for a couple of years now? They talked about it, a recession a couple of years ago is when the talk started. Do you think this could be it?
Possibly. Economists say that a recession or something of the sort happens every 5 to 10 years. Yeah. Someone I was listening to a economist today, and he made a really good point that he said that he's been around long enough to see the booms and the busts, bull and the bear markets. Yeah. And the thing that he could glean from that is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if there's a crash. It doesn't matter if there's a correction. The whole point is to understand the strength of your own portfolio and how it can move in those situations. That's why I said that the statement I initially said about blood on the streets by real estate, that if you know for a fact, like during the subprime mortgage crisis of the 2009-2008 time period, yeah, the people that made out were the ones that had enough liquid and enough credit to buy up all those houses that were foreclosing. Yeah. That when things were in complete turmoil, that was the best time. So while other people were failing, while other businesses were crashing, other people's businesses were rising and other people were making their fortunes. So to me, that's a very logical way to look at it. If you just worry about, looking at the Motley Fool and these other economists talking about corrections and crashing and doing this and that, you're kind of missing the missing the trees for the forest.
Well,
because of the trees.
Yeah.
So recession or not, crash or not, correction or not, just simply having confidence in your portfolio or confidence in how you manage your money and your assets and being able to move if necessary within this market if that's what you want to do. Some people like myself, I'd rather just be, I'd rather have be in a static position that I don't have to worry about making sure that my necessary bills are paid for. You know, you said, Michael, oh, I have this great deal for $5,000, but you had to take that $5,000 from things I need to take care of my family. I would say I'm not interested. Right, I'm super conservative in those regards. But if I did have the little bit of money I do have in stocks, if I do see something that's interesting, such as the stock that you bought before, and I see the price go down, if I time for me to buy more of it, I'm not going to. If I had confidence to buy it in the beginning, I'm not going to lose all confidence just because the recession is coming or the boom, the buzz period is coming. Right.
Yeah, I guess the question is, so if first of all, it depends on what your age is also. So
exactly. That's a good point.
65-year-old is not going to do it at 25. If I was 25 right now, I would say as soon as this recession hits, do what people should have done in 2008, which would have been save your money so when the next recession 5 to 10 years later, you're in a position to just start buying, or you can slowly accumulate at the same time, but make sure you have that pile of liquidity so you can capture things at a cheaper price.
Yeah, that's true. It's age is a really important factor. An older person would have a different idea about what they want to do with their money at this current time.
Well, that's part of the problem. So I've met with a lot of seniors over the age of 65 because when the stock market's so good, they don't want to miss out, especially men. Men spend their whole lives trying to make money and do all this stuff, and they have conversations at the, in the country club or the sauna or the bike club or whatever you're a part of. They're always talking about stocks and, I'm trying to invest in this and I want to start this business. And so when things are hot, like 3 years ago, let's say, seniors don't want to jump out of the market. If they're 75 years old, they still want to have a stock portfolio. And I've seen that multiple times. The problem is now I've talked to a couple people. The stock market's down 4,000 points in 4 days. So that's not that bad. It's bad, but imagine if that, a month, 30 days from now, if it's, it's 15,000, you just lost half of your wealth that you had.
Essentially, yeah. I can imagine also people's pensions are like my mom's a school teacher in Philadelphia, so they give her a printout of how her pension is being, like which stocks her pension's in and what have you.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that is stressful for people that aren't able to move their money if their retirement's tied up in it, right?
Well, let me ask you this: does she have an inflationary percentage or something like that built into that pension? So, for instance,
that I don't know.
That would be the question I would ask her, because let's just say she gets $50,000 a year, guaranteed. Well, if they have to, China. I just watched an economist. They said that they're giving everyone, I think it's, don't quote me on this, but either 1,000 yuan or 10,000 yuan each citizen or something. Everyone who's over 18. Did you hear anything about that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I caught a little clip of that.
It's kind of like a UBI of some sort.
Yeah, because if velocity drops and people are not spending, and if they're not able to pay their bills and whatnot, the whole thing is going to collapse. Well, what happens if we do that here? People on a set income, if they don't have some kind of inflationary protection, they're going to lose money big time. Because if the government or anybody is giving you $1,000, me $1,000, and everyone around us, that means your mom's $50,000 a year, or whatever it is not worth as much.
Of course, yeah.
So, what do you do? So pension people could be in serious trouble in the near future. And when you're
it's an interesting time to, it's very similar to when we were talking about the virus. It's just now is the time to pay attention. In 2008, my wife is in finance, and when the crash hit, she was telling me lots of people were caught with their pants down, and the only reason, these are really intelligent people in the wealth management industry, and the only reason why that is because they were confident there's no way things could be as bad as it could be.
Yes.
Right? They didn't prepare. They were like, we're making literally boat tons of money. Everything's doing great. Wrong. And then when something did go wrong, no one was prepared for it. And that's why everyone started falling. A lot of people started falling. The Big Short is a great movie about that in a good book. Yeah. That talks about that. The people that were caught with their pants down were because they're overconfident. The people that knew what was going on were not perfectly fine, and some of them did really well. So the same thing with this. I was reading an article I saw an article today about lots of the component parts of the drugs we use come from China.
Yeah.
So and it's simple. Same thing I was saying to you yesterday, that the more connected, the more dependent we are on any other state besides our own, the more we have to worry about when they have fluctuations. If Xi Jinping decides to not sell us a particular type of drug for whatever reason, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's the virus, it could be economic reasons. What are we going to do? And how do we offset those costs? Right? So being prepared and simply looking around and understanding what's happening and preparing for what you can do within your will is the best solution always.
Yeah. Well, talking about prescription drugs, I heard, once again, I heard a statistic, I didn't see this, that 70% of the drugs are made, that the United States imports are from India and China.
Yeah, China, represents lots of the, like I said before, I was explaining to my kids yesterday that when you see a cell phone is a combination of parts and technology and know-how from all over the world. The iPhone isn't just made in the United States just because you buy it here. There's parts from Bangladesh, there's parts from India, there's parts from China, there's minerals from Africa, there's technology from Ireland. If you combine all those things together, that's how you're able to make the cell phone.
Yeah.
But at this time, if any of those markets crash, if something happens to the mines in that particular region of Africa, that you need those precious metals, where are we going to get those metals from? Is the price going to go up exponentially because it's not available anymore? If it's in China and there's a particular drug additive that we need anymore, are we able to make it ourselves? Is there a plan B? Is there another country we can buy it from? So the smartest countries are the ones that are able to easily be flexible in those time periods. When Donald Trump was having his trade war, there was lots of, in regards to beef, there are countries around the world that said, okay, well, we're going to start selling beef. Seeing how the United States is having an issue and they can't get out their dairy and beef as adequately or as efficiently as they used to, let's set up our economies so we can absorb that, so we can start taking that business away. And then once that business is gone, it's gone. Right? So it's really crucial right now that while things are bad, or while things are getting progressively worse, just to simply pay attention to what you have, understand your strengths and weaknesses, and act accordingly for the future. It's easy to say, but harder to practice, right?
Well, yeah. Yeah. Another thing is, 401ks, to take out money in your 401k, I think is a 10% penalty right off the bat. And then you have to pay taxes on it or whatever the case is. So people, imagine, you're talking about like, do you sell or do you keep it? If you have a 401k, there's more decisions on top of whether or not you're losing money in that stock.
Yeah.
So that's another problem people are having, because people are panicking right now, or the market wouldn't have gone down that much.
So do you? I know in your industry of healthcare, I know annuities is a good vehicle. Is annuities protected from market downturns for people that are more conservative, that just simply want to keep their money out of the playing field?
Yeah, they're protect. Yeah, it's annuities are just a percentage. Give us $100, we'll give you 5% return. That's all an annuity is. But the problem is, once again, it just depends. Annuities for inflation are terrible. But if you get a 10-year annuity, And inflation, happens where it's at 10% and your annuity's at 5%, you're losing 5% to inflation. So you're actually losing money.
I see what you mean.
So
once inflation gets added into the calculation, I mean, it's a hard turn. It must be really difficult for people over the age of 65.
It's horrible.
Manage their money properly.
Oh, yeah, because you really have to hit all angles. I mean, all financial angles, like you said, stocks, bonds, gold, real estate, annuities, tips, which is for inflationary purposes, cash. You have to have cash. You got to be liquid. And then, of course, you have to have, like you said, medications. Where older people get killed on medications, absolutely killed. And the thing is like, so the funny thing about, a Medicare, so if somebody's turning 65, they're going into Medicare for the first time. One of their biggest worries, kind of like you and I don't take any medications. I don't think you do either. Do you?
No.
Yeah, so you and I could care less about drugs. I mean, we care because people are getting burned financially. But to us, we don't worry about the price of drugs or what our copay is. So our biggest concern is hospital. I mean, how many times are you going to go to the doctor? You're not going to go to the doctor 300 times a year. So that, $10 copay for the doctor is not going to really kill you. But the hospital is going to kill you. So me and you would ask, like, I just got new insurance yesterday, literally yesterday. And my total, one of the things that I ask is, what is the deductible, which is $2,000, and what is the total out of pocket per year, which is $5,000? So if something really goes wrong, okay, $5,000, I can handle it. Deductible per year, okay, $2,000, I can handle that. But so when you talk to somebody who's over 65 or who's turning 65 or going on Medicare for the first time, the one thing that they concentrate on is the medical coverage, which is, of course, you want to know what's the medical coverage, what's the hospital, how much am I going to pay? But the drugs are the biggest expense for most of these people. Even the people that aren't taking drugs at 65, or maybe they'll take 1 or 2 drugs, it's going to progress in the future. And so that cost of drugs is the biggest thing in Medicare Part D, for everyone eventually,
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. It's a good thing to pay attention to. So I wonder how wise it would be for a person who is, just to pay a little bit more attention to that. Is there a way you can stockpile on drugs then? In case of for example, like they were saying today, that lots of drugs, the price might go up because of the issues that we're having with China. Is there a way for a person to stockpile on the drugs they need?
Yeah.
Or they have to worry about the expiration date, like does it last at least a year out so you can ride out any type of storm that's coming?
Well, yeah, you can get a 90-day supply, but doctors have to write a script. So I don't think you can, you can't stock up, because think about it. If you could stock up, let's say somebody has a $5 copay for a drug because they have great insurance. This would happen, as crazy as it sounds. But if you could stock up on a year's supply, what would keep anyone, even somebody who's 70 years old, from selling those drugs on the black market?
Of course, yeah. So there's no, it's always my grandfather always says I would be a horrible lawyer, because I always believe that people are going to do the right thing.
No. Yeah, well, maybe
have a tendency to do the wrong thing most of the time.
Well, you'd be a horrible prosecutor, but maybe you'd be a good defense lawyer, because you'd think most of these guilty people are innocent, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's the positive way of looking at it. Like we were saying before, now's a good time just to pay attention, to be smart, and not to get too afraid of culture. So I was listening to that's the reason I brought the Motley Fool. I was listening to them this morning, and they were pretty fatalistic about what's happening because of coronavirus. So I worry people might make choices that aren't in their best interest just because they're listening to the talking heads on TV.
Well, to be honest with you, before I started, so when this first, January 22nd, what's the date today? 28th. So probably about the 23rd, I started paying attention to this. So 1 month went by before I paid attention. I did not read any articles that, I didn't look into things. Nothing bothered me. Now that I'm looking into it, you're right. The more you pay attention, the more you're going to think to yourself, I got, today I'm going out, I'm prepping, going out and getting, like I said, paper products, water, food, the essentials.
Yeah, I did that last night. I went out and got a, non-perishables just in case.
Yeah.
Because why not? It's kind of ridiculous that you can't. I mean, you're right about the drugs, that the worry about a person selling on the black market, but it's kind of ridiculous that you can't just simply prepare yourself properly in case of a bad situation.
Yeah, well, I mean,
our rolling blackouts is a good example. That's why PG&E is in so much trouble. That when we had the blackouts, there was lots of people that weren't able to get services that they were taking on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis.
Yeah.
And those people, those elderly people, don't care about why the electricity's off. The point is that it's off. Or that the shuttle buses that usually pick them up to take them to the doctor isn't running that day.
Yeah.
So it's a system that can easily break with just a little bit of a push in one direction or the other. So.
Well, if you don't have people working and they don't have money coming in, the first thing they're going to do is max out their credit cards. Then they're going to have a, 15, 20, 25%, debt. Something that, you max out your credit card, it's 10 grand, and, the rate is 19%. They're never going to pay that off. Then all of a sudden their credit is shot. Then all of a sudden, the trickle effect, it can happen fast and it can happen strong. And that's what, here we are. We have not seen that yet, but I really foresee that you said that this could take a year and a half. What happens if people start losing their jobs, or they, not just losing a job, but if you work in the food industry and nobody's going out and getting certain foods, they think this place was.
I was saying, like, when they said, like, just from what I heard about if they're able to come up with a viable, maybe not a curable way of mitigating it in that time period, so it's, I don't know. It's I was waiting for a report yesterday that made a really good point that in China, 80% of people that have the virus are making a recovery. There is a portion that are really sick or are passing away, but it's not as bad as, like I was saying before, a Ebola virus or something of the sort like that.
Yeah.
So it's I'm not as, I haven't gotten information yet that makes me worry about it on that level, to tell you the truth.
But how do they detour public panic? Like right now, like you're stating that, and I had the numbers, what was it? It was approximately 1/3, let's say, have already recovered. They got the virus and recovered.
Exactly. Yeah.
But are people gonna, if the public is out of control and they're buying up all the water, they're buying up all the products, you're not going to try to convince these people, hey, this isn't that bad, people are recovering. You're going to go out and buy water, or you're going to pull your money out of the stock market just like everybody else, most people.
Exactly. That's exactly what's happening right now. So everyone is, because no one really has any solid information, the people in power aren't giving us information that will make us feel confident. People are acting in their own best interest.
Yeah. One of my biggest fears is that the financial markets.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. Yeah. So, just long story short, because everyone's acting erratically. So, if the virus, if it gets worse, that's horrible, and people will act accordingly. If it gets better, people are going to act in their own best interest, which includes that if say an outbreak happens in Tampa, that people are going to say, okay, well, now I can't go outside. I need to buy face masks. I need to buy water and food for my family. I can't go to work today. And only people that have that luxury. So one thing they were talking about a lot yesterday was individuals that work in the tech sector that can work from home. And they say, well, just work from home that day. It's fine. There's lots of software allows you to have, for example, Basecamp We'll be on Rails. There's different programming languages and there's different programming systems that there could be collaboration without going to the office. What other type of businesses hurt? Because so right now I'm at the currently I'm at the Airbnb office. And around the Airbnb office, there's lots of restaurants. So if all their employees decide not to go to work because of the virus for whatever reason, all these businesses are going to do really poorly.
Yeah.
And every day that happens, it's going to get harder and harder for them to make rent. And that's going to cause a fluctuation that's going to be felt all over. So, yeah, this virus, it has the potential damage, even if it's not as bad, and even if the mortality rate is pretty low.
How long do you think that would take?
What's to take? How long will it take for people
to panic and for that? I mean, I think within, if you had enough cases, and the panic started within 2 weeks, you'd have a complete meltdown.
Yeah, I think it's a. I mean, it starts from the top and it'll work its way down. Just like I was saying about the tech worker. I mean, here in San Francisco, our city runs on tech workers.
Yeah.
So if all the tech workers at the same, and we feel it, like if they have a vacation. So tech workers, unlike the rest of us, get, or some tech workers, I should say, get proper vacations. You know, so they take 3-day weekends, 4-day weekends. When they do that, this comes to a standstill. There's no one buying food at restaurants. There's no one taking Uber. Of staying home, they have the luxury of going to Lake Tahoe or someplace nicer. So if you extrapolate that out for a week or 2 weeks, or businesses are telling their employees to just simply stay home, there's lots of other auxiliary businesses that will be hurt.
Yeah.
Instantaneously. You know, as simple as the person delivers Coca-Cola to the office every morning. That if the office is closed, they don't need to drive that route, and they'll lose money because of it. If they lose money because of it, how will that cause a ripple in their lives? So that's the biggest issue of this virus, and no one having any idea about how it's going to be mitigated or how it's going to be taken care of. It's just the fear that it causes.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you right now, I mean, if you look at somewhere like Florida, I mean, you have 22 million people that live in Florida. It is based off of, it's a vacation spot. I mean, it's a tourist industry. You have Las Vegas, same thing. What happens if places, I mean, Florida is a state, Vegas is a city, but same difference. I mean, you know, these places can shut down restaurants, Ubers, airports, hotels, everybody in that hospitality industry could be affected, and then it's just an all-out free fall. You know,
it is. It doesn't take our society is held up by string. It doesn't take that much for things to start breaking down. And as things break down, I mean, for example, in the subprime mortgage crisis, how many construction companies went out of business? They went out of business because their staff, they're not getting contracts. If they don't get contracts, they're unable to keep their laborers. They're not able to take care of their subcontractors. So those people are either going to get a new job or they're just simply going to not work. And that causes a real draw on society as a whole, especially in the economics of individual communities.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're all interconnected, and everything's just being held up by the tiniest bit of string. So that's why these type of things, such as the coronavirus, the subprime mortgage crisis, and things such as that, can cause much ripple among society. You know, but that leads right back to what we initially started talking about with investing. That if you know that, once that fact is known, then you are capable of treating your life and collecting money so you can make the right choices at the right times. So instead of spending $10,000 or $20,000 on some really cool tech stocks, it's better to keep that $10,000 or $20,000 cool and wait for something like this to happen because you know it's going to happen. You know, 2008, and then say, okay, well, 2018, 2020, well, let's see what happens in 2030. What happens in 2028, right?
Yeah.
So it's I think Warren Buffett said that it's when the golden ray comes, don't walk outside with a thimble, walk outside with a bathtub.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's it makes a lot of sense. If you have lots of money during the crashes, you will do well. If you have little money during the crashes, you will do poorly.
Yeah.
So it's as simple as that. It doesn't matter if you are making $50,000 a year, $500,000 a year, $5 million a year. I mean, it goes across the board for everyone.
Yeah, I mean the discipline of putting something away, even if you were to take cash, put $50 a week, starting in 2009. So you have 52 weeks per year times 10. That's 520 weeks times 50. So we'll just say 500, times 50 is what? Is it 25,000 or 250,000?
I think 250,000, right?
So what did I say? 500. We'll just say 500 times 50. So 3 zeros.
Yeah, so or 20, 50 times 520.
Yeah, it's $25,000. Just
Yeah.
$50 a week. But people, that's very easy to do for a lot of people. But from the last time, you could have 25K sitting in your safe right now, but I don't know anyone that does.
Exactly. Yeah, if you have 25K just sitting around, you can do something.
Yeah.
You can move.
Yeah.
And that's achievable. If you think about my lunch every day is $25. So I go to work 5 days a week. That's $125 that I just throw down the toilet every single week.
Yeah.
And if you really think about that, you say like, Jesus, that's you save all that money, you can actually do something when something happens.
Yeah.
But it's like I said, it's much easier said than done. I just said it out loud, and I still don't do it.
Yeah.
I'm standing in front of a pizza shop. I'm about to commit the sin I just mentioned.
So what would be the 4 things that you would do to, let's just say this thing, if you had a crystal ball and this thing was coming in 2 months, what would be the things that you would do?
I mean, the first thing I would do is take account of make sure your house is in order. That old saying. Find out exactly what bills what bills are actually necessary that you have to pay. Find out what amount of money that you have to have at the end of the month. I know for a fact to the last penny how much money every month I need to have, no matter what. And as long as I'm able to reach that number, then I'm in a good place. If you know for a fact that a economic downturn is coming and you work as a barber or some type of employee that doesn't have a salary, it will behoove you to save a little bit of your money, at least like 10 or 20% if possible, to make sure that when that downturn comes, you're ready. Yeah. Just to protect yourself. I mean, that's just the most basic thing. Make sure your gas, electric, phone bill, your kids' tuition, all those things are taken care of. Yeah. And just like we were saying about lunch, $25 a day lunch. How about if I don't eat lunch for 2 days out of the week and I just simply pack a lunch? And that's $50. And if I add that up, then when the downturn comes, I actually can do something instead of nothing. Yeah. The second thing I would do is not pay attention to the look up data and don't look up opinion. If you want to, we were talking about Tesla stock. Well, you can go to, and they can tell you about Tesla stock today and how it fell by 19%. Hypothetical. And you can get really excited and say, oh my God, it's $799. Like now it's within my reach. I can actually buy it now. Or you can just simply look at the historicals and say, okay, well, they just had a big rise and now they're falling again. What's a good number that I should buy Tesla stock at? So as opposed to listening to just simply look up the historical data. If you use Dow, if you use E-Trade, they give you a plethora of information. The only thing you have to do is read it. If you're that interested in a stock and you know that the market's about to have a downturn, figure out what's a reasonable price that you're willing to pay, that you think you can actually make a dividend off of, and then buy it when it hits that number. So if you know that a stock went from $199, if you know a stock went from $199 to $700 and back down to $400 and back up to $800, that might be the best choice. Yeah. So why buy it now? If it wasn't the best choice yesterday, then when things are going great, why would it be a best choice today when things are going horrible? Yeah. The third thing I would say is the stock up on that if you know for, like I said, the best case scenario is that nothing happened, that they find a way of mitigating the damage, and no one has to talk about it no more. A week from now, people say it was thank God, everything's perfectly fine, and we're okay. The things that you bought are the things that you have. Like I went out and bought lots of with water and beans and grain, things like that. I can use that for the rest of the year. It doesn't hurt me to do that. It makes sense for me to do that, as opposed to buying a bunch of like cakes and ice cream and a whole bunch of things that aren't that necessary. That isn't important to my daily life. So it's it makes sense to, and then you can use this as an excuse to make sure that you're prepared, even if you don't need to be.
Yeah.
Right. And the final thing is, in my opinion, calm down. Just be calm. I have lots of, I can see it in people's eyes. You can hear it on the news. You can talk to your friends. Everyone is very excited. And an excited mind is not able to act appropriately during a bad situation.
Yeah.
That's why when things are going bad, that's when you need to be calm. That's the time to relax. When everything is over, then you can say, "Oh my God, I can't believe we got through it." But while things are acting very active, it just makes more sense to be calm, cool, and collective, and act rationally, and just simply take stock of your life. Sometimes I'm a strong believer that when you have a really bad cold and you're stuck at home and you're in bed, that's simply your body telling you, "I need to rest. I don't care about you needing to work. I don't care that you have kids. I don't care you got bills. We need to rest or you're not going to make it."
Yeah.
So during that time, you're forced to re-energize. And once you're done being sick and you make it through, you feel a lot better. You got the rest you needed. Your body repaired itself, and you're ready to get back on to get on into business. So this is a bad economic time. Conserve your strength. Do what makes sense for you and your family to make sure that your quality of life doesn't dip too low, and just simply wait out the storm.
Yeah. No, that's good advice. Good advice. All right, my friend. Well, Good talk. We'll talk again. We'll keep watching. I'm gonna, I'll be staying tuned to the news. So we'll see what I can drum up next. But yeah, a lot of good points.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks a lot. Yeah, well, take care.
Yep, we'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.
See you now. Bye. So there you have it, coronavirus and financials. Basically, I'm going to put up some bullet points and so forth as to what you should possibly do to try to, even if you're going to pretend that this thing is coming in 2 months, you want to prepare. And if all else fails, it's not going to hurt you anyway. We always say stocking up on water. How's that going to hurt you if nothing happens? You're still going to have the water. You can still use it throughout the year. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you at the next video.